Welcome to Sound Bites. I'm your host, Jennifer Chandler. Today I'll be talking with Bradford Williams, the owner of Side Casseroles. We will be talking about strategies to help you make your Thanksgiving stress-free. Sound Bites is the Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. You can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. or listen wherever you get your podcast, iTunes or Spotify, or listen at dailymemphian.com. If you are listening on WYXR, up next you can listen to Sidebar with Eric Barnes. But let's get started talking about all things Thanksgiving. Bradford, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I am assuming that this time of year is one of your busiest time of year at Side Casseroles.
It is. We work towards this all year. I call it training for the Olympics.
Definitely.
But we are definitely very busy, and we're ready though. We are totally ready.
For those who are listening that have not been to Side Casseroles, which we were just talking with Bradford, and she said her business has been open for 18 years. If for some reason you're a Memphian and haven't discovered it yet, it is a prepared food shop in East Memphis. It's on Wheelus Drive, correct?
That's right. We're right behind the Clark Tower. We're off a little side street called Wheelus, and we're only open 3 days a week. So Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, we are happy to help you.
And you have everything you need for weeknight dinners, and as we're talking about Thanksgiving, about holiday entertaining or special events, there is something to make your life easier. That's right. For sure, for every taste bud.
Right. We have everything you need, from appetizers to desserts, and even if it's just one thing that you want to take off your plate and have us do, we have it for you. Just go on our website and see what we have. We have quite a bit. I don't think we have time to go through all of it, but
let's kind of give some people some teasers on some of the items that they can pick up from you. As far as you have a whole bunch of vegetables that you can do. Kind of, what are some of your top sellers on that?
We're smoking turkeys. And then I've got the side dishes. I've got potatoes. I've got sweet potato casserole, squash casserole, lima beans, black-eyed peas, purple hull peas, turnip greens, homemade cranberry relish, onion gravy to go with your turkey. I'm sitting here in my mind trying to think of all the items, but we have everything.
Yeah. So basically, if you wanted to, you could do your whole Thanksgiving dinner
totally
from you, and all you have to do is reheat it.
That's right.
Wow. If I was smart, that's what I would be doing. But I do like to cook some things and family recipes. But right. I have, over the years, have supplemented some dishes with you. So, thinking about Thanksgiving, and again, anyone who has ever cooked a Thanksgiving meal knows how stressful it can be, because a lot of us have one oven. I'm lucky enough that in my current house I have 2 ovens, but when you're feeding an army, which traditionally I serve, my family, my husband's family, and so I've had up to 18 people at my table. When you're trying to cook food for 18 people, that all doesn't even fit in 2 ovens. Right. So you kind of have to strategize on what you're doing and what you're not doing. So I guess my first question is, if you were going to pick 1 or 2 things that you could take off of your plate and let somebody else cook for you, like someone like you at Side Casseroles, what dishes would those be?
For me, if you were coming to Side Casseroles, and I feel like we have a dish called pyramid potatoes. That would be an item I wouldn't want to spend 2 hours making at home. I would call Curbside and say, hey, I would love to get your pyramid potatoes or even squash casserole. That takes a long time to make. I would probably call and say, hey, I'd like to pick these things up. And I know in my mind that would help me in my kitchen take some pressure off.
Yeah. Okay. And let's go back for those who don't know what pyramid potatoes are. I've had them before. They are so divine. What are pyramid potatoes?
I got that recipe from a Memphis cookbook. I did not create it. It was just one of my family favorites, and I've just passed it on to Curbside. But it's cream cheese, all the bad things you're probably not supposed to have. Cream cheese, sour cream, butter, cheddar cheese, and you just mix it really well, and But that's the hard part is just getting all your ingredients and mixing it. And then they're just velvety wonderful.
Yeah, they are really
they're
divine.
One of our top sellers.
Yeah, I mean, any time of year, they're divine. I would definitely say that one would be one I would add to my list I'm picking up.
I mean, I could sit here and I could go on and on. Turnip greens. I mean, no one wants to do that for half the day.
Right.
I've mastered it. All you have to do is come and get them from me. And you don't have to tell anybody. No one will know. Just put them in your own dish and I can take the pressure off of you.
Yep.
In that way.
Well, let's talk about some of those things when you tell you about doing your own dish. I mean, years ago, we'll say now it's been over 20 years, I had a place called Sheffy's Market and More. We had a whole huge prepared food section. Back then, I would actually have a few customers that would bring their casserole dishes to me. I would say, let me put it in here for you, and you don't need to tell anyone where you got it. I know that how your business works, no one's really going to bring their casserole dish into you, but you have a lot of strategies on how you can make it look like you made it homemade. So let's start with the beginnings. A lot of your items are frozen. How do we thaw? How far in advance should we start thawing and things like that?
I would just say everything, almost 99% of everything you're going to pick up from us is going to be frozen. To transfer it into your own dish, I like to thaw it just a tiny bit, just enough to kind of move it into your dish. No one will know.
Right.
You just slide it into your own beautiful dish and bake it. Seriously, no one will know.
So, and I love, once you gave me a tip, and I had never thought about doing this, is like when you're thawing things that are frozen, there's always condensation. When you're thawing it correctly, you're supposed to be doing it in your fridge overnight.
That's right.
But there's always condensation. And if you've got like 2 or 3 items or more from you and they're frozen, you're going to have a lot of water in your fridge. So what is your trick for this? This is so easy.
This is so simple.
I didn't know this.
I just, I probably overthink everything. But when I am thawing things in the refrigerator, like you said, it just gets wet. And I'd put kitchen towels down. I put them on the bottom of the refrigerator where I'm putting my items, and then I stagger the items so they're not just right on top of each other. But the kitchen towels catch the water, and you're just not with. You could go have a total mess in your refrigerator and everything is soaked. But it's just easy. Get your kitchen towels out.
And I take it a little step further. I luckily have one of those refrigerators that have the French doors where everything's up, the refrigerator's up top and the freezer at the bottom. So I take a baking sheet and I put it on the bottom shelf and I put the tea towel down and then but I hadn't thought about almost creating a pyramid. We talked about pyramid potatoes with how you kind of alternate so everything has airflow and everything will thaw. That's really brilliant.
So that's what I do.
You know, you transfer things to your dish and you're transferring things from your container. So everything that comes from you for the most part for those who haven't been there, is in an aluminum foil container and it has all the reheating instructions on top. So you've thawed it a little bit overnight and you're transferring it to your baking dish. How can you make things look a little bit like they were from scratch so nobody knows the difference?
Well, a trick could be, so say you have a 9x13 dish for your, just say large squash casserole, but you're not sure that your dish is going to look full. I mean, it's not going to look full in your dish. So I personally would get a 9x13, a large from us, and a small.
Oh, that's so it looks overflowing.
So I could fill in the corners with it and make it didn't look just like you just slid that casserole into your dish, but and then I would get an extra sleeve of Ritz crackers from the grocery and just crumble it on top.
Yep.
Just little things like that.
Yeah, I always, with macaroni and cheese, I always get some extra like shredded cheddar cheese and shredded Parmesan cheese. And I actually sometimes throw some breadcrumbs in there too. And I do that over the top of a macaroni and cheese so it looks like a homemade baked macaroni and cheese, because the reality of it is when you go to transfer something, even though you may have toppings that you've put on it in the shop, when you go to transfer it onto your own baking dish, it never quite looks like there's enough. It works perfectly in your dish, but when I transfer to a different size, you need to add a little bit more.
Yeah, I should probably tell people that more. I forget to tell them. Just to get another one just to fill in with.
And you're going to need Ritz crackers in your house anyway, because you're going to have cheese and crackers to snack on at some point in time over the weekend. If it's not Thanksgiving Day, it's going to be over the weekend when you're watching a football game or something like that.
There's another dish we make. It's a sweet potato casserole. Now, it has a praline topping on it. And I remember as a child, I loved it when my mom would put the marshmallows on top. Oh, yes. We do not do the marshmallows, but it's so easy. If you have children coming, or if you like it, just grab a little bag of marshmallows at the grocery and just put it on half of the casserole. You don't have to do the whole thing, but that's always a little something fun.
That's that's what makes Thanksgiving sweet potato casserole,
in my
opinion, is the marshmallows and how they fluff up. And since it has that on top, if you don't like the marshmallows, you could do maybe chopped pecans.
Yes.
To kind of put that on top. I think that would be good, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So
I'm hungry.
I'm getting so hungry for Thanksgiving right now. It is unbelievable. I've cooked my turkey. And I've pulled my turkey out. So your turkey can kind of sit on the counter for a little while you're cooking your side dishes. So what do I do? I've got like 5 side dishes I need to cook. And some of them are my own recipes, and some of them I've picked up from you. How do I figure out what to do? Because maybe they don't all reheat at 350 degrees. What do I do?
It's totally like our cornbread dressing. We tell you to bake it at 400. But some of the other dishes might not need to be at 400. You're just going to have to, what I do at my house is I move the racks around in the oven to make sure it's kind of all even. And I do put things in there, like if the squash casserole or whatever it is, you can put that at the bottom of the oven. And because I think if that cornbread dressing is up towards the top, it's not going to hurt to get it a little crispy on top, because I kind of like it like that. But you do have to logistically put it all in there right. But I think moving the oven racks, if you ever notice sometimes the oven racks one might be at the top near the broiler.
Oh, yes. I literally use one oven rack, and I have 3 oven racks in my oven, but literally how it's placed,
the same one.
I have one in the middle, and then the other 2 you can't really put anything on, because it's either, as you said, too close to the broiler, or it's like right underneath the middle rack.
We just forget to adjust them sometimes, but But you're right.
But I'm not normally cooking for, 10, 12, 13, 14, 20 people either.
Well, the turkey, you're absolutely right. Always get the turkey done. Take it out. Even the ham. You can do the ham the day before if you're going to have both meats. But because you want to get the turkey out, let it rest, and then put all your side items in there, and then you do the rolls if you want to reheat your rolls. But your roll,
the rolls can be the very last thing.
Absolutely.
I'm usually reheating the rolls when I'm putting everything out onto the table to set.
I burn all the bread. No matter where I am.
Set the timer. That's probably the best piece of advice that we can give anyone who is listening today is set your timer on your phone, set it on your oven, set it on your microwave. Get the old-fashioned, ones that kind of, you turn the knob.
I'll have 3
Have your timer so you don't miss it when you're when you're visiting with your guests and your friends and things like that. That's probably the most important thing. What I also do with my rolls is I brush the top with butter.
Yep.
So I pick up the yeast rolls that you guys have at curbside every year, and I brush them with butter, and I put a little Malden sea salt over the top. And then when I'm warming it, so that way they get a little bit extra buttery, and I like that little salty flavor. So again, I've kind of doctored up something that's delicious on its own.
Absolutely.
But I've kind of made it a little bit more homey.
Just don't forget to take them out.
Don't forget to take them out of the oven.
Yeah, put your timer on.
And one of the things, too, to go back to all the stuff that you mentioned, that all your things are frozen, like literally, we are 1 week away from Thanksgiving. If you have not already picked up your stuff from Curbside Casserole or wherever you may be picking it up, you need to go there.
Yes, get on our website,
and place your order.
Like I said, we're only open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But for the week of Thanksgiving, which I procrastinate too, but we will be open Tuesday all day and Wednesday of Thanksgiving until 2. So place your orders
Yep. And get in there.
I will try. I promise I will try to have plenty for the whole city. But I might run out of a few things. But please call us or email us.
So that's a great suggestion. And one of the things that I always like to remind people too is that when it comes to like your turkey, if you're cooking your own turkey, which I do, and it's just one of those things for me, a Thanksgiving turkey, I probably should, but it's a butterball turkey. That's what my grandmother cooked. That's what I grew up eating. Over the years, I have tried other turkeys. Definitely try other turkeys, free range, non-frozen. Just something about my taste buds. There is something about the frozen butterball turkey that's what I grew up eating. So that's what I want to have. So if you are using a frozen turkey, go ahead and get it over the weekend and start thawing it then, because it can take a turkey 3 days to 4 days, really, depending on how big it is, to thaw in your refrigerator. And again, like we talked about with the casserole dishes we may be getting from you is put something underneath, because when it thaws, juices will come out, and you do not want those to fall all over your produce drawers and all of those type of things. So that was my piece of advice for a frozen turkey, is start ahead.
We smoke our turkeys, so lightly, very lightly. I don't like a whole strong smoky bird, or just boneless and super easy. But it will probably be fresh or frozen, depending on when people pick up their orders. And like you said, if it's frozen, even if it's cooked, you still need to consider the thawing time.
Yep, for sure. And I will giving a shout out for your smoked turkeys is I do like the traditional big bird, since I'm feeding a big group. So I always do that. But I have also, when I know I'm going to have a lot of company in the house, is that I will pick up one of your smoked turkey breast and have that, because it is great for if you don't have enough turkey in your turkey.
That's a great idea.
But then it's also, I usually use the turkey that I've cooked and the carcass. I'll make something else with it over the weekend, maybe a gumbo or something like that. But people always want leftover turkey. We always have leftover, cranberry relish and cornbread dressing and all of those good things. And so I will take your smoked turkey breast, which is easy to slice, and it's perfect for those leftover Thanksgiving sandwiches that we all love.
I have to have a sandwich. Whether it's the next day or that night, I want a turkey sandwich. I always want to have extra. I don't want to run out.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to, especially if you're having a big group or people are coming over. It's a great idea. As I said, it'll save you if you don't have enough turkey. We fry turkeys a lot, and our turkey fryer, you can't have a giant bird. You're limited to like a 12 to 14 pound bird. And if you're having, like as I said, I've had upwards of 20 people before, and that's not enough turkey. And so instead of having to fry 2 turkeys, I fry 1 turkey and then I substitute with yours, so guests can choose what they like. It's very, very easy. You're listening to the Daily Memphian Sound Bites with me, Jennifer Chandler. Today we're talking with Bradford Williams, the owner of Curbside Casseroles, about all things Thanksgiving. If you're tuning in on WYXR, keep listening for the Sidebar with Eric Barnes after this. If you're listening through your podcast app, be sure to subscribe. You can also find other Daily Memphian podcasts: The Sidebar with Eric Barnes about art, culture, and more, Grizzlies Pod with Drew Hill and Chris Harrington, Behind the Headlines Podcast Edition, and On the Record, an occasional political podcast with Daily Memphian legend Bill Dries. So, Curbside Casserole, over all these years, has been my savior at many, many, many times from when I didn't want to cook dinner. In particular, it's really saved me when it comes to entertaining. You have so many things that you have on your menu. And one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about, we've talked about the Thanksgiving meal per se, but Thanksgiving traditionally for people is a time with a lot of entertaining. And you're going to have people in your house that you didn't have. So especially over the weekend, you have people that are probably hanging out, football games, things like that. You've got a whole bunch of appetizers.
We have that are so much.
And I'm going to give a shout out for one and I think, do you call it onion souffle dip?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I've always called it. And I've made this at home. It is not hard to make at home, but boy, it's so much easier just to get yours. That with a bag of Fritos is we call it crack dip in our house because we cannot stop eating it. It is so, so, so good. But tell us about some of the things like that you have that can help make somebody's life easier over the holidays season. Whether it's not just at Thanksgiving, but actually going into December.
I feel like every weekend we have something going on. And I always have a backup in my freezer at home. And whether it's one of my favorite things we do is our pork tenderloin. And I'll take some rolls and just make little sliders. And every time I take them somewhere, it's just, they're gone. That's the first thing people, and all you have to do is reheat the tenderloin and the rolls, and you put the horseradish sauce, we call it horsey sauce, on it, and it's a hit. But that's something you can get from us and have in your freezer all the time. And the dips,
good spinach dip. You have a good spinach dip too.
People always ask me to bring the
it.
spinach and artichoke dip and serve that with, chips or crackers and
those Ritz crackers that we bought to go on top of the casserole. See, we bought a whole box. Now we've used them. We have it with the dip for an appetizer, and we used them on top of our casserole.
One of my friends, he's a wonderful cook, fabulous cook. But whenever we go over to their house, all he wants is our party pimento cheese spread, which is pimento cheese dressed up, and firecrackers. That's all he wants. Just bring me the firecrackers and the pimento cheese.
Yeah, the firecrackers are those good old-fashioned Southern saltines that are like you marinate, like as it has, is it butter or oil, and it's got like seasoning and a little bit of like red pepper flakes, and they're like salty and hot, and it's, oh my gosh.
It's always
And you actually have them in a cute little package, and so they make a great gift.
Yeah, I mean, you can put a bow on it, hostess gift.
Yep.
Who wouldn't love that?
Anybody listening, they can give that to me. And then when you have like breakfast items too.
Right. Yeah. So if you have company coming, breakfast casserole, hash brown casserole, grits. We have biscuits. We don't make the biscuits. They're from North Carolina. We have them shipped in. But they're wonderful cheese biscuits. And I don't know if you've ever tried them, but the baby cheese biscuits.
Yeah, they're very little.
I love to do that for an appetizer, too, just with maybe some ham or something. But that's something I don't think you can get in Memphis anywhere.
No, and that's something to keep in mind for Christmas. And in fact, if you're picking up stuff for Thanksgiving, you probably go ahead and pick it up now if you have room in your freezer and stick it in your freezer and be done for Thanksgiving. I mean, that's the beauty of shopping.
Christmas,
you can plan ahead.
Is right behind Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, especially this year.
I think we have 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's just quick. Just planning.
Speaking of planning.
Yeah.
I know you've told me before, but in your own words, a little bit about what the mission of Curbside Casserole is.
I mean, I'm so thankful. This was really not my idea. The Lord just kind of put me to work, and I did a catering job for school, and within hours, days, I'm not kidding, people started calling me for meals, and I just couldn't believe it. So that's how it started, and honestly, to this day, I'll have customers come up and just say, "You have no idea what this means to me." Whatever the situation is, it helps people. Just having a meal that you didn't have to worry about, you knew it was there, and you could just, whatever your situation is, it's helped so many people, so many families.
It has. I mean, it's just as I said, if you're a busy mom, it was always when my kids were little and I had sporting events, I always had something in my freezer from you for those nights that I knew that I was going to be like running from soccer game to whatever sports to tutor to whatever. And so that way I'd pull it out in the morning. And then that afternoon evening when we get home, dinner was done. I just threw it in the oven and it was done. It was a God saver for that. And then it's also been such a blessing for holidays,
right?
And for entertaining, just to have one of those things that you don't have to do. So tell us a little bit about, we've talked about Thanksgiving, but just during the rest of the year, like what are some of your top sellers?
So year round, we sell chicken pot pie, and we make our own. It's from scratch. I don't cheat on that one. That one is one of our best sellers. The pork tenderloin I was telling you guys about earlier. We have a vegetable beef soup. It is one of our top sellers, probably top 10. And it can be 100 degrees outside in Memphis. And we'll sell will sell out. It's really good and it's comforting. People love it. Let's see, chicken enchiladas. I could go on and on. We have probably 20 or 30 top sellers that we have religiously every week available.
That's great. And everything comes in, for most items, you have 3 sizes, correct? A small, medium, and large?
Right.
So that if you're just 2 at home,
right,
or if you're a family of 4 or 6, there's an option for you, correct?
Right. So we'll do small, medium, and large, and it just depends on if it's just 2 of you, or like you said, 4 or 6, 8 or 10. So yeah, we always have those available.
And then on the days that you're open, isn't there usually, not everything is frozen, isn't there usually 1 or 2 fresh items so that if you don't have to worry, if you're all of a sudden it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like, oh, I don't want to cook dinner, I want something curbside, and you haven't thought it, so you will have an option that somebody can just reheat?
We try to have at least 3 entrees fresh every week, and it's different on Tuesdays, it'll be different on Thursday. We change up our menu constantly just to keep it fresh and different. So you just can call us or email us or go to our website, really, and look and see what we have that week.
Yeah. Well, that's about all the time we have. And I do have one question for you. If you had one piece of advice that you would give somebody for Thanksgiving, and you're the host or the hostess, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, I would just say breathe, have fun, ask for help, and just really have a good time, but just enjoy it. I think sometimes I really work too hard on the planning aspect of it, and I get caught up in things. And I'm learning just to embrace whatever happens. If I burn something, it's okay. You're with your family and friends, and just enjoy it and have fun.
I love that. That is what family and friends, that's the true meaning of what this holiday is. And again, we all kind of get busy and caught up, and that's a great reminder of what we need to do and to definitely take advantage of a service like yours. There are many places in town that are doing prepared foods and different things over the holidays. Take a shortcut and take a little bit of a breather on something if you can.
I'd love to help.
Well, thank you, Bradford. I really appreciate you being here. You can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. or listen wherever you get your podcast, iTunes or Spotify, or listen at dailymemphian.com. And happy Thanksgiving.